Welcome back to another episode of Microservices TV. We're here again with Erin, and I'll let her introduce herself again. But then today we're going to be talking about something which is self-proclaimed by Erin as awesome. Which is GameOn.org, which is a text-based game, and I'll let Erin give you all the details on it, but a text-based game that is meant to be an example and reference for microservices, which I think you can see why we're talking about it. So why don't you introduce yourself again, and then we'll jump into Game On.
So I'm Erin Schnabel, and I've been working with Liberty and working with microservices. And if I jump right into it, when I was learning microservices myself, there's a lot of concepts that are kind of difficult. It's like you can read about them and you can get them, and then you try to do them, and you're like, that was really not what I expected.
Book learning and practical learning.
Yeah, and it was hard. And so one of the things that I noticed is we have a lot of walkthroughs. And the walkthroughs are generally, let's stand up a single service, which is not really where it gets hard.
It doesn't
right?
work in a microservices
Exactly.
world.
Well, it's not the whole, it's not even enough to really get your teeth into like why this, you know, everybody says you read it, distributed systems are hard, right? But it's like, why? So it's not until you start really trying to do stuff. So total geek fest, right? It's a throwback text-based adventure. Think Zork, or when I was little, I played King's Quest. So which had graphics, but you know, still all the typing. So the point is we've set up this game. So we have the UI, we have client connects to what we have as a service. We call it the mediator because it mediates. Good name.
Aptly named.
Aptly named. And then what we allow you to do is stand up a room. So we have a walkthrough that will give you, we have one for Go and one for Java and one for JavaScript. I'm hoping we will get one for some other languages. I've got a volunteer who wants to do one for Ruby. I will probably...
And this is a language that the user or the developer is contributing and setting up and kind of adding to the architecture. So it's
right. So you do the walkthrough and then you stand up a room and you're like, okay, cool. I have a room. I can show my friends and do quirky things. We have a couple rooms that are pretty hilarious. It's totally up to you if you want to put puzzles in it or do crazy hysterical things. So, but it's like standing up the one room and having a chat so that the users that are in the room can see each other. That's easy. Okay, that took 15 minutes. Woohoo! I have a room. Okay, so scale the room. So you just flip the little switch. For example, if you use the instant runtime stuff, you just say, okay, now I'm going to scale it. So now people are going to get round robin distributed to your room.
What does that mean for data? What does it
mean for
sessions?
data? How do you do your chat? How do you make it sit? Like, do you want all of the people in that room to see each other? So then what technology do you use to do that?
Yep.
Which one do you like best? Try a few. The item question is interesting. We actually had a brief flirtation with doing global items you could carry between rooms, and I would love for somebody to figure out how to do that, because we tried and it was like that's hard.
So in trying, she means it's on GitHub. There can be a pull request.
Yeah, we have all of the sources on GitHub for how you build this anyway. But once you really try to think about how to build a global item service, and then where the data lives, and then you get to the stage where maybe the item isn't actually anything other than a row and a table, but where would the table live, and how does that work? And then your brain explodes and you walk away.
Well, and that's the whole point of kind of what Game On came to be.
But that's what this is, right? It's like there's two parts that I really like about this idea. One is it gives you, for me, it's always I actually find it amazing that I thought to do this, because I'm usually I never come up with ideas for writing anything, right? So this was here I have an idea of something quirky to do, and if you and your colleagues all do. I mean, part of what has been really fun about building this is I'm working with people who are freaking hysterical. And so we have been cracking up making these rooms. Some of them are just awesome, and we've got really fun people that I work with, and so it's been kind of a blast. So what I'm hoping is that it gives people a chance to both be creative and to show a sense of humor and to get out of the really strict, stodgy business stuff, but experiment with things that then they can take back to the
experiment,
business.
learn, and then break out and see how
so it's it gets you out of your rigorous, serious, quote Unikitty, business, get you out of that space, and you can play and experiment, and then take that back.
Yep.
And the old adage with programming, it takes you 3 times to get right. So you'll blow this, you blow the first attempt on something hilarious and fun, instead of on your serious stuff.
Yeah.
and then it's It's awesome.
Okay, so we know how awesome it is. So now let's make sure we know people know where to find it. So where is Game On available right now?
We got a couple places. So the new Cloud Architecture Center that we put up.
And that's at developer.ibm.com/architecture.
Yes, it is. And there's a microservices section on there. So we have actually both a nice reference architecture picture that helps put together all the pieces of a microservices architecture, and then the game is the reference application for it. And so the information is there. There's actually the nice service diagram. That came out really nice considering that microservices are a spaghetti mess.
Yep.
It was actually, I should share with you, when we did the diagram, it was really hilarious because it's like, we're talking to the people who are going to make it nice and pretty, and it's like, no, that mess, that's microservices. It's a mess.
It's a Death Star, and that's all it really is.
I know, we were like showing all the Death Star diagrams. It's like, no, it has to look like that. Like it's the flying spaghetti monster, and it's hysterical. So yeah, and it's really pretty, but still a mess.
Okay.
So I'm quite pleased with how that came out. But so yeah, this ends up being a really nice reference application, and it's game-on.org is where the front door is.
So the front door to the game, and then there's links there to all the source on GitHub and all the documentation.
The source on GitHub. There's a companion book, which quite frankly we're still writing, but it's good. And Swagger APIs.
Awesome.
Oh, that's something fun I did. When I wrote the map, we have a map. Oh, this is fun. Oh, I did so much cool stuff. So I'm so proud of myself. So no,
Keep it rolling.
I'm older than I look, older, right? And so I think in SQL.
Very structured.
Yeah, but then I'm doing the map, and I wanted to do the map so we could put the rooms in and have them placed, right? So you end up with something that's nice and centered so people can navigate, and you don't want holes and whatever. And I was racking my brains about how to do this, and I spent way too long on it, frankly. And I'm like, I should be using a NoSQL database, which I had never done. And I still think in this SQL thing. It does it for me. I managed to do CouchDB, like Cloudit, CouchDB filter, indexes that they keep a map of the room. So everything's now XY coordinate, right? We got two-dimensional map, and so the index. I sort the index by the absolute value of X and Y.
Okay.
So I have my empty rooms, keeps everything nice and centered.
And compact.
I'm like, score! I didn't have to do that. I was so proud. Anyway, that was my learning moment. And
well, we're hoping. I mean, that's the whole point. We're hoping that that was.
So when I was
for you.
writing that, I did another new thing, which I had not done. Liberty has a new feature that just came out that integrates with Swagger.
Okay.
So we have the API discovery feature, and I actually wrote. It was like before I wrote the code for the map, I actually did the thing with the stuff where
wrote the contract firsthand.
Yeah, and I did all the annotations. And the nice thing about Liberty is I'm working in Eclipse with WDT, running live. So like as I'm updating, my Swagger document is updating all by itself, right? And it ended up being really nice. So I had this, and I didn't think I was going to like it coming in. And I'm like, well, I'll try it. And I'm like, whoa, this is actually really fun. So I have the API documents all there. And then it ended up overlapping with the models that I wanted to use for CouchDB, for the cloud and stuff. So I'm like, well, that worked out. And I hadn't really planned that it would happen that way, but it did. So we have the Swagger documentation. The map is the one that's generated from the source, and then we have another API for player that we wrote differently. So, but they're both there.
But I mean, that also kind of speaks to microservices and kind of, again, you can get to the same point by many different directions and pick what you want, polyglot here, polyglot there, so that all makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it is at the moment a little heavy on Java, but it's because we wrote it and we're a Java team.
And
so
what you know, but then as you said, somebody can come in with Java, Go, JavaScript, Ruby.
I actually would love to see some competing implementations in different languages.
I know I'll be playing
fun.
with one in PHP very soon, so we'll be looking at that one. So
that'd be good.
So okay, so again, that's at game-on.org, developer.ibm.com/architecture, and also all the Liberty stuff is at wasdev.net to check it out. So
yes.
Anything else you want to say before we sign off?
I think I said enough.
Okay, that's good. So for Erin, I'm Rick signing off for another episode of Microservices TV, and be sure to check back at developer.ibm.com/TV/microservices for more episodes. Awesome. Thanks. See you guys.